I have a story to share with you about Marlon Brando.
Brando stories are always fun. Go on.
This story comes courtesy of my buddy Greg Benson. Probably took place in the early 90s. I hope I get all the facts correct. Greg was driving through the streets of Los Angeles one day, and he was at a stoplight, and he noticed a big fancy car pull up next to him. And the driver was Marlon Brando, back when he was still alive. Obviously. And he noticed that Brando was sort of looking down a little bit, like he wasn't looking at the road. And this was before, texting was a thing. And so Greg kind of craned his neck and looked over, and he noticed that in Brando's lap was a portable television. He was watching TV while driving.
What would have been on in the early 90s that would have been so interesting? It's probably Cheers. Everyone loves Cheers.
Some unboxing is about to happen down here in the basement. We got a whole bunch of mail to open, and we've got all sorts of other surprises. We're so glad that you've joined us. When you go to welcometothebasementshow.com and donate, you get your name shouted out on this show. So that's what I'm about to do right now. Our donors: Joe, Avery, Oliver, John, Stefan, Benjamin, Michelle, Malcolm, Dan, Luke, Cy, Scott, Betty, Adam, who says, I enjoy the show and also the editing videos you've been posting. Marie, Michael, Ann, Jennifer, Maura, T.A., as in Epley, Melanie, Brian, Abigail, and Martin from Denmark, who says, could you maybe talk about the new series of Twin Peaks? I can't, because I haven't seen it.
Good. I didn't want to cover my ears for that long, because I haven't seen it either.
I was a huge Twin Peaks nut when it came out. I watched every episode.
I would have parties with my friends and we would have donuts. When they re-aired episode number 3 of the first season, we had a costume party. Yeah, we were fans too.
Well, I wasn't as big a fan as you apparently, but my brother made fun of me for watching the show, and I feel like if I watch these new Twin Peaks, I have to go back and watch all of the old ones because it's been so long.
Yeah.
Once I set aside the time to do that, I'll watch the new show. We've got so many packages to get through. I think we need to open a couple.
Yeah.
This is from Margaret in Plum, Pennsylvania. Looks like a whole bunch of postcards.
Oh, good Lord.
I got them! All of them!
This is very confusing because it's in some sort of cloth bindle or some sort. Someone with very nice handwriting. It is Jenny from the UK. Seen it, The Man Who Fell to Earth? No. I bet you have. You're wrong. My suggestion for a filmmaker to look up is Michael Ocelot. Oh, he sounds like a very kitty person. I have a well-loved video of his 1992 shorts, recorded from TV, which use a paper-cut silhouettes animation. Here are some Welcome to the Basement postcards that I printed using my Neo Cyclo style. It's an office copying equipment. From the 1880s, this was my first experiment with printing, and as you can probably tell from the results, gave it a bit of a meh.
Okay, just open up the postcards.
All right, well, let's see what this is all about. This is me standing outside of a movie theater showing The Third Man.
Nice.
Matt Ernesto and I watching the show. There's a whole bunch of different copies of these. Just Ernesto in this very classy, maybe Bauhaus type style.
Oh, I want to keep those.
Well, there's a whole bunch of them. Thank you, Jenny and PTO.
This package is not from Margaret Frank. It is from Chris and Tom Frank. They're from Pittsburgh,
a town that has 2 funicular railroads.
Tom says he's a film student. He watches the show for film insight, comedy, and future recommendations. And he has a band called Phased Out, and he sent us their CD. And also a sticker. And also a Waterworld photo. It says, nothing's free in Waterworld.
There we go. Oh, got it.
Whew. And also a little bit of this.
Hello, Mr. Hamilton.
Cool, more music to listen to in the car. And now, viewer questions. We begin with not a question, but a comment, and I think that you will find this very amusing. Jurisfiction161 writes, Craig, I can't speak to what made your girlfriend faint, but I laughed out loud at this episode because I fainted last year while watching Interview with a Vampire. This is in reference to a story that you told a few episodes ago where a girlfriend of yours fainted and a doctor said that the reason was she was watching Interview with a Vampire.
Which is not scary enough to faint from.
It's not that the film is scary. It's that they do really creepy, gross, biting, and skin-puncturing noises. Apparently my brain didn't like it and went, shut it down. I can see that happening.
Caitlin McDougall writes, in celebration of Craig becoming a father, my question is, who is the best dad in cinema and why? Who is the worst father in cinema? Well, the worst father in cinema, for me, in a walk, James Coburn's character in the movie Affliction.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah, I just think of him in a big, heavy winter coat saying, I'm made out of love, and thinking, oh, that's the exact opposite of my father. For the best dad in cinema, and why, my why is why it's why. My favorite dad in cinema is in the movie Oh God, You Devil, starring George Burns and Ted Wass. It's a flashback. The main character is a kid back in the 40s or 50s, and he's sick, and his father comes in. He sings him the song from Guys and Dolls. I got a horse right here. His name is Paul Revere. And I thought, when I'm a dad, that's the dad I want to be.
Take that, Atticus Finch. Dr. Parnassus writes, is William Holden laconic? This is in reference to your condemning Gary Cooper as being laconic. The technical definition of laconic means a person of few words.
Yes.
And William Holden's performances are very much dependent on words. He has a great facility with them, and he's also known for really playing the smartass. Yeah. So you can't be laconic and do that.
Yeah, you can't be in the movie Network and be laconic.
In our P.O. box, I often get records, and when I get them, I listen to them. And I got a couple here to talk about. Julie Byrne, Not Even Happiness. She looks kind of happy there, doesn't she?
Yeah, a little bit.
I really enjoyed this a lot. This reminds me of a really folky Cat Power. Her voice also reminds me of the vocalist from the band Y Oak. This very ethereal, almost ghostly voice. And it's very good. And the music is very relaxing to listen to. This is a record for a snowy evening. And next, we have the first record we ever received on unboxing. This is back in the days before it occurred to me that when I listened to these records, I could actually talk about them on the show. This was sent by T.A. Epley, and he recently asked me what I thought about it, and it is Peter Hamill Over. Almost spilled that beer. He reminds me a lot of Brian Ferry. This is from the middle of the 70s.
Oh, yeah. From that cover, it has to be from the middle of the 70s.
There's a little bit of Bowie in here, and I want to say Bertolt Brecht.
Really?
It's got this really kind of like bum, 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 bum kind of sound to it. So I'm getting that, too. And then there's a little bit of a kind of a prog thing going on, almost like a Genesis-era Peter Gabriel. All of that's going on in here. I can't say that I love it, but this really isn't music that you love right off the bat. Peter Hamill doesn't come to you. You have to go to Peter Hamill. So multiple listens will determine if this movie... multiple listens will determine if this movie... Why do I keep calling it a fucking movie? Multiple listens will determine if this music actually sticks with me. It's impossible to be threatening in that hat.
Who wants to drag for beers?
I think you should drag for a new hat.
Yeah, what a screwball town.
They got people who take care of big jungle cats like they're a baby. They got newspaper reporters who lock people in roll-top desks.
Hey, and hit us with a couple of beers. Jimmy, what do you hicks do around here for kicks?
We nix picks, and they whoop it up. We've been down to the Pogo Emporium.
I'm singing tonight, John.
I'm wearing one of those Howard Hughes bras, Johnny.
You know what I used to think about?
Fractions. That fat guy's never going to catch Johnny. Look at him. He's enormous.
Yeah. Well, if he waits a couple decades, Brando will catch up. Because Brando got fat.
I don't get your act at all.
Not funny. It's really not funny.
Or are you doing some sort of Andy Kaufman type thing? Wild enough for you?
And now the Hard Ticket Report. My quest to watch all 12 of these movies by breast-obsessed filmmaker Andy Sedaris in 2017 continues.
Which one are we watching tonight?
I watched a movie, but I have nothing to report. The movie is Fit to Kill, and it was so goddamn boring. I have nothing to say about it. The plot has to do with the Alexa Diamond. What is that? I don't know, and I don't care. Do I have quotes for you? No, I do not. I will watch the rest of these turkeys. I will fulfill my promise to finish these by the end of 2017. But I ain't going to report on them anymore until there's something to report.
Hear that, Sedaris?
And now the rest of our donors take it away.
Alexander, Kelsey, Mitchell, Emily, Alfred, Roger, Patrick, Shelby, Daniel, Anthony, Lindsay, James, Martha, Abraham, David, Andrea, Thomas, Eric, Isaac, Elizabeth, Catherine with a K, Stephanie, Kempson, Grant, Reed, and Mercedes, and those last two people wrote, "We just signed up for the rolling $5 donation. We also want to send you condolences for Ernesto, as we have recently lost our cat Smudges to kidney disease."
Oh,
Smudges.
kidney disease is a hell of a thing. Their little kidneys were not built to last. I lost 2 cats to that. Well, I don't know if it was kidney disease or it was kidney failure. But, I mean, it's the same end result.
And my mom used to have a dog named Smudge.
Oh.
It was a golden retriever, except for a black spot right here on its head.
Wow.
We're going to call it Smudge, and I'm like, call it Spot!
Rice from Rochester, New York has sent us a package with a bunch of Eclipse postages on it. The eclipse just happened recently. Craig went out and traveled to a different state to see it.
Yes, I was out in Southern Illinois watching that thing.
There is a DVD in here and also a letter. Rise says, when you watched Felix the Cat, it was Fritz the Cat. Just recently, I watched the disturbing psychological documentary, Crumb.
Ooh.
I have seen this, and I've seen it multiple times, actually.
Yeah, it's
very
a good
intriguing.
one. Yeah.
Thank you, Rise. This is great.
I don't know who sent this. Maybe as I unfold all of this, we will find out who it is, but it is from Houston, Texas. And to everyone in Houston, we're filming this while the hurricane is hitting you guys. I hope everyone's well who sent this.
Best of luck. Oh my god.
What do we have? What does that say?
Agent for Harm.
Whoa! That is all that Oriental jazz. When the rising sun goes down, Tokyo's temperature goes up. And then we have a movie that I've actually seen here back when I was young. This is Blue Thunder.
Look at that.
That's-
Posters.
We still have a couple more packages to go.
But first, dispatches from my now defunct MySpace blog. This is something I wrote. It is full of the piss and vinegar of a much younger man. Well, why don't I just read it? April 14th, 2007. The Wisconsin Film Festival is going on right now. And Tona and I have been to 3 screenings so far. The first one was a program of experimental shorts, or as I like to call them, lazy, boring nonsense. 99% of the experimental films I have ever seen have failed to excite me on an intellectual, artistic, or entertainment level, and they show blatant disregard and veiled contempt for the audience. There are, of course, exceptions. The first short in the program we saw on Thursday, Ringo, was quite good, but it had a pretty strong narrative. I think I'd even hesitate to call it experimental. I had high hopes for the rest of the screening. Then there was a film that was spliced together footage of 2 people with video cameras walking around a burned-out building. 10 minutes of that. No story, no background music, no point. Just 2 dopes walking around a burned-down house. I wanted to jump out of my skin. At one point, Tona leaned over to me and said, "I want to slap this movie." I think she summed it up perfectly.
Tona's the most peaceful person I know. And I know the sentiment.
Experimental film is so popular because it's so easy to do. And when I say popular, I mean among filmmakers. The audience inevitably hates this shit. You don't need to worry about things like coverage, continuity, narrative flow, pacing, any of that. You just take whatever crazy bullshit you can get your hands on, edit it together willy-nilly or not, and call it a statement. And when the audience does hate it, which they will, they just don't get it. Experimental film is selfish, insular, masturbatory, and pointless, and it's the worst thing the artistic world has to offer. 99% of it, anyway.
I have your back on this one, Matt. This is the type of thing that scares people off from movies. If you have an experimental film, direct music video, so at least you're listening to something in the background while you're showing a film of someone eating blueberries, which I've seen. I'll even say David Lynch's early shorts, I sat down and watched some of those, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, why am I watching more than one of these at a time? 6 puppets vomiting for 10 minutes long. I don't need to watch this.
I'm surprised to find a supporter in you, but I'm glad to hear it.
If something is good, it doesn't qualify as an experimental film. Look at Maya Doran's Meshes of the Afternoon. That movie is experimental with a small e, but it is a drama. Sure. Something happens in it. You have no idea what's happening in it, but it's the most important thing in your life while you're watching it.
Well, Un Chien Andalou, Zero de Conduit, these are all experimental films that are very engaging and very evocative of very concrete things.
Yeah.
I do agree with many of these sentiments still, but at the same time, looking back, sweeping generalizations are really a young man's game. And as one gets older, one hopes to become more mellow and to kind of let go of this type of anger.
I'm 6 months younger than you. I haven't. The only concession I'll make is 92%.
We have our 2 final packages to open. I don't know who this one is from. Empathy Studios. It's got some lovely cat drawings on there.
While I have something from Aaron in Hell's Kitchens, he also has a lovely drawing on it. It says, "Welcome to the Basement Productions presents the truck with a boom boom in the back." And here's someone smoking going, "Zutalor." Oh, that's...
Yeah, it's Wages of Fear.
Wages of Fear.
I believe that's something I said on this show.
That is. Somebody's listening. It is a folder.
Perhaps he sent us a book report.
Dear Matt, Craig, and Tona, I've been watching some of the older Welcome to the Basement videos and was excited to see my mother featured in the Day of the Dead episode. She's the zombie in the house dress who, while being dragged out of the corral, gets loose and bites the neck out of one of the guys.
Wow.
She's now in her mid-80s and still going strong as a comedian and an actress in our hometown of Pittsburgh. Recently, she was asked to appear at some local horror zombie sci-fi conventions and had some 8x10 photos made up. I showed her the episode and she was thrilled to sign one saying, "I love anyone who loves movies as much as these 2 fellows do." She also says, "Do they have some sort of wall of fame?" I said, "Well, it's more of a corner of a desk, and if you're lucky, you'll get pinned up near the great Michael Shannon." She said, "Oh, he is great." Know that you now have a lifelong fan in Pittsburgh. Enjoy, Aaron.
Let me see that picture.
And here is Mom. There we go.
This package is from Alyssa. She's a musician and producer from Virginia. We've got a copy of her single, A Wicked Girl and a Tin Boy. The vocalists you'll hear are Vocaloids, synthetic singers whose programs were created from samples of actual singers. The female Vocaloid was created from samples of her own voice. That's cool. I can't wait to listen to that. I don't even know what any of that means. It's very intriguing, though. Also, we got a little bit of Daft Punk. This is the Daft Punk album Discovery. The more I listen to these guys, the more I want to hear. And also, we have a DVD. This is an animated film, Interstellar 5555. It is completely devoid of dialogue, where the entire Discovery album is used as the audio backdrop.
Oh, wow.
What an amazing time we've had today on unboxing. I need only show you this again to illustrate that point. You can watch the next episode of Welcome to the Basement this coming Friday, and now this.